That is absolutely hilarious. The reason we're playing that is today we're talking about counterculture, and what better way to start the episode than Andrew Tate trolling Greta Thunberg after he gets released? Hilarious.
Dude, my feeds have been flooded with Tate, and I'll grab it. I'm an avid Tate consumer, so it's already like biased in my algorithm. But dude, they're better now than they were before. This is, dude. Just like you almost think the guy's got people writing for him, like a comedy. You know what I mean?
He can't be this funny as a person, right? Like, that's hilarious.
I'm gonna get 11 boxes of pizza. Fucking come in with the American shorts on. I live in fucking Romania on house arrest, smoking cigars. There's a knife stabbed in about like.
Hilarious. That's absolutely hilarious, Ryan. The reason I wanted to, I always like the idea of counterculture, and what I mean by counterculture is when it's being thrust upon us, right? Whoa, I got blurry. When it's being thrust upon us, Ryan, that we're the transgender thing, the gay lesbian thing, Netflix making everybody black on Netflix.
Cleopatra was a Greek.
The fat thing, like all types, everything, all of it. This is all becoming. It's being forced as mainstream, right? So to see counterculture, it's kind of like what I mean by that is everything that's the opposite of what they're trying to force upon us. And this is what sparked my initial thought on it, right? I want to pull this picture up, but see if you notice anything about this picture in particular that I noticed. This is what I noticed immediately when I saw it. Does anything in particular stand out to you, Ryan?
That she's not beautiful.
Okay, so here's the thing. This was a Facebook post, right? And this got suggested for me for some reason. And here's a picture of her being large and in charge. I am the beauty standard catch up. But the thing that makes me think of counterculture, and this is what I think is hilarious, look at the reactions. 34,000 laugh reacts, and that's the only thing. The only reaction. No likes, no hearts, all laugh reacts. Ryan, this is the counterculture. The more they push it upon us, the more it gets. Well, it's the equal and opposite reactions, right?
Yeah, I mean, you would say could take it to Bud Light, how they lost literally millions of dollars, and they're like came out and had a reversal of some things. A woman's been laid off. This is like the first time we're actually seeing the woke and go broke thing, because it's never been on something that was a brand. Like a lot of the stuff before, if people remember, all these brands like Colin Kaepernick was really like the latest prime example, right? Within the last few years on how he chaperoned Nike. It was around that kind of stuff. And like for a lot of us, whether or not the kneeling of the national flag, whatever that became in the political discourse, at least when that happened, we're like, okay. But now we're getting to the point that the conversations that are being pushed, David, like you said, almost like an ideology, it's being forced on us. It's fake grassroots AstroTurf, are so extreme now. They're so like obliviously egregious. Like this isn't fucking. Most people don't like that was like the thing. We all have like a shared culture, right? And like when we feel it under attack, we're like, this is fucked up. And this is like the first real time with the Bud Light thing. At least when it comes to dollars and value, dollars and cents,
right?
That it's equated to things.
No, we've seen this recently too in a lot of different ways. I mean, just a couple of things that come to mind. Obviously, the Bud Light thing, like we just saw, Hershey's, Lizzo, and the whole just fat acceptance movement that's upon us.
Yeah, we've seen them partner with this fat, like love all sizes for women, and then they're saying it's actually healthy to be fat. Like right, exercise it like takes years off your life, which we know is a lie, right? Like it's like they're not even attacking culture anymore. They're literally attacking things that have been known for thousands of fucking years. Like obesity kills you early. It's not that you're less beautiful or more beautiful with weight you have. It's literally unhealthy for you. So how can it be beautiful if it's unhealthy for you? When everything in nature, 99% of it is beautiful to our eyes. Birds, the sounds, the smells.
Well, that's a great point, Ryan.
Why would people be any fucking different?
That's a great point, Ryan. This is something I never thought of until you just said this. But if you look in nature, something that is beautiful, right? Like a beautiful flower, it's never a dying flower.
Not once do you go in a field of flowers that smell great and the sun's kiss your face like, man, I'm depressed. This is ugly. Not one time.
Right, but
this
more
is
than
the
that,
whole
it's
cultural
never
Marxism stuff.
when we're talking about, just purely the beauty of it. It's never an unhealthy flower. It's never a dying tree. It's never a
wilted rose.
Yeah, sure. It's never unhealthy organisms in nature, right? You're never looking at like a bird that's like twitching on the side of the street, like, oh, how beautiful, because it's dying. There's something that's biologically repulsive about things that are unhealthy and dying, right? Because you're always attracted to healthy things and things that are thriving. And so to see somebody who's eating themselves to death, it can't biologically be attractive.
Yeah, David, it just says a lot by psychology. And back to your little point you had there, not that it was little, but like when you see like a bird mangled up,
big point, massive point.
Massive point.
Big 13-inch point.
It's actually the opposite. When you look at a bird, some people, like, I would get empathy and almost feel bad for the animal, right? But when it comes to a human, right, where she's literally killing herself early and people are applauding her, it's like, do your fans like you? Or do your fans hate you? Candace Owens actually said this, that Lizzo fans actually hate her and want her to die, basically, because they're promoting a lifestyle that is killing her. This is like only liking musicians that do hard drugs. You know what I mean? Like like what are we talking? And what are we setting? Think of the children, because I know they are. What is this setting a standard to our children and stuff too? Like when it comes to healthy at all sizes and all these things, there's an ideal for everybody. Now, granted, you have your primes. Like a 60-year-old guy will never be the ideal weight of when he was 20, but he has an ideal for his time, his age, his wisdom, his IQ. Like everybody could be the best version of themselves. This is dangerous. We should promote excellence. We should promote people being better. Now, we shouldn't have to tear you down either. I agree, but God bless it. Promoting.
That's what unfortunately that's what ends up happening though, because when you force it upon people, when you thrust it upon people, I just like saying thrust because it's funny. When you make people, you shove it in their face and you say, look at this, look how beautiful it is. It creates an aggressive counterculture, right? This is when people are like, fat pig or whatever, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's not productive to call somebody fat, but it isn't productive to make you think that fat people are healthy either. There's a middle ground here where, when a fat person's at a gym, right, and they're working out, you want to go up and shake their hand. You know what I mean? It's like, good for you.
I've done this actually. I've actually done
this. So there you go. It's like, good for you. Thank you. Keep it up. You want to encourage them. You want to make sure they're doing the best they can. Quite frankly, even though I'm not massively overweight, I could certainly use some gym time. You know what I mean? I'm not in great shape, and that's part of, and that's part of improving yourself. The first step is admitting, like, I need to do better, and if you don't, you'll never be better. But if everyone just tells you, oh, you're fine the way you are. In fact, get fatter, get more unhealthy, you'll be fine, and and then it transforms into it's healthy to be unhealthy. This is how they try to spin it.
Yeah, and Jordan Peterson actually talks about this to young people in particular. The worst thing you can tell them is that they're completely fine with the way they are. Because if you tell them that it's okay to not be okay and you can do everything in your power to change it, it's like a relief, because it's like, wait, I don't have to be like this forever. I don't have to live like this forever. I can change this. And for some people that have never had a father or a brother or an uncle or positive role models or teachers or mentors or jobs that have good bosses that grow you in a company and teach you work ethic and morals and stability and what it means to drive forward through trouble. Like, if you don't have any of that and you're just like swinging out here, no wonder you want to do reverse procedures on yourself, unreversible procedures on yourself. And once again, we have empathy when we see these people, because we all know when we see people, we have empathy, right? The reason you feel empathy is because people are supposed to help people. That's why you even have the emotion.
Yeah.
That's why gratitude feels good, is because we evolved helping each other, which is why you should help each other. But like, if I'm trying to help you because I think, like, let's talk about this, and I get called a bigot, counterculture's it almost makes you wonder, David, why they do it. But then again, when you're trying to tear down the peak of civilization, you have to do everything opposite of what got us here, which is not promote the best of us, promote women that literally, quite frankly, are going to be replaced by a robot and aren't healthy. And one more thing, what this is doing, this isn't like a service for women. What this is a direct attack on men. Because all guys know that they're not attracted to fat chicks. Truly. Will we sleep with fat chicks? Probably. But the reason you do is because, that's all you can get right now. Or that's all you'll ever get. Whatever it is. But you all want a hot girlfriend. You all want a hot wife. We all want attractive women.
To be fair, they're just easier to catch. They don't run very fast.
Yeah, the smell of chloroform, it takes a little more. But the point still remains. It's like what they're telling us as men is like, this is what beautiful is going forward. And men are attracted to certain things. And now you're basically trying to shame men. And what's even crazier is men's biological things were wired by women's selection of men. So women evolved men through selection of the guys they chose to sleep with, made us this way. And now you're going to try to rewire the programming that women gave us because you guys don't want to not eat fucking chips all day and not put the pop down and get on a fucking treadmill or lift some little weights. You know how hot girls are at the gym? They're super hot. Even the girls that aren't that hot are hotter than the not girl. You know what? It's like, it just don't make sense. You're trying to wire, but I know what you're doing. And we got little boys, we got men out here growing up in a world. They're told this is beautiful. Dude, we had Pam Anderson. We had the pinnacle of hot women. Be like, yeah, that's hot. And we all knew. Because we were all striving for that, right? The excellence, the best. And I've said this before on this podcast. Everybody knew they weren't going to get the 1% life unless they did the 1% stuff. And now it's like, because you're not going to be the 1%er, you got to tear it down the 1%ers. It's a fucking shame. I'm not going to accept fat women. When they're starting to have fat porn and all the hot chicks in porn are fat, maybe I'll think, okay, men's preferences are changing. But I guarantee you go on any porn website, there isn't a mass variety of plus size models, the women the size of Lizzo making money. They don't exist. There might be a couple for fetishes and all these other crazy things, but all the hottest girls on those sites, girls that make the most money are fucking hot. They're traditionally beautiful. And we all know what that means. We don't even have to draw a picture. We all know.
Speaking of traditions, Ryan, there was one other thing I wanted to point out before we, end today's episode. And did you see that Netflix is being sued for depicting Cleopatra as black in a new documentary? Mm-hmm. Mohammed Al-Samari submitted a case Sunday via the public prosecutor in an attempt to shut Netflix down in Egypt over the series African Queens, Queen Cleopatra, due to the decision to cast a black actress as Cleopatra. But
it's crazy to call her African Queen when Egypt wasn't even considered African because the continent of fucking Africa. This doesn't even make sense. African Queen. It wasn't even called Africa. It was. Sorry, Dave. It's unreal. This is bullshit. She was a Greek pharaoh, ruled by Greeks for 1,000 years before she got it. All right, maybe a couple hundred years.
Archaeologists insisted that Cleopatra was, quote, light-skinned and not black.
That's true. She was a Greek.
Which?
Mediterranean.
Right.
Granted, the woman above there is beautiful.
Of course. And when people talk about, like, Jesus, this is what Jesus would look like. Not really.
You look Israeli, probably.
Exactly.
Which, once again, is white people. Israeli, Palestinian, Middle Eastern people are Caucasian. Like people in the Mediterranean, Greeks and Italians are Caucasian people. They're just fucking tan. Which is kind of funny
because of a different climate and a different place on Earth. But if you put that same person, you pick that person up and move them to like
they'll light up.
Arkansas, they're going to look white.
Yeah, which is crazy to even think at 9/11 people were mad at Muslims. Like, not only is the religion like butted up next to each other, but like people were like acting like they're different people than you. Like it's just shows how dumb and petty we are. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me that they're trying to whitewash history here, David. The reason
Isn't this
that
blackface?
the reason they're doing this is because they'll never admit that the Western way is the best way. Okay? The Library of Alexandria, which everybody says, everybody went to Egypt for the knowledge. Yeah, the knowledge they were seeking was set up by the Greeks. This has been known, unless you get on some guy on Joe Rogan that says don't believe Egyptologists. They all are incongruents. I don't care what some asshole at Netflix got greenlit for. They're all incongruents when it comes to this. Greek pharaohs, the Ptolemies. I believe her brother was Ptolemy the 15th or 16th. Okay, and the first Ptolemy was the general of Alexander the Great, which was the king of Macedonia, which was in modern-day Greece. That's how the pharaoh shifted from, because Alexander took over fucking Egypt, and that's how it shifted. And when Ptolemy buried Alexander in Egypt at Alexandria, I actually just heard a documentary on this today. But yeah, when he was buried there, the Ptolemies became pharaohs, and there was a lot of fighting and all that. But yeah, by the time it got to Cleopatra, they weren't the best pharaohs, obviously. But
so they were all 100%. Black, is what you're saying?
Look, they might have like dabbled in stuff, but like you can look at sculptures of them. I mean, this has always been a thing with Egypt that, you know, there was much darker toned people there, and there was black. The first pharaohs of Egypt were black, and that's probably, I mean, I don't know. We don't know. You know, humans could be on their third civilization for all.
Well, but the thing is, we kind of do know, because you can tell by people's bone structures and bone densities and all types of stuff. Like biologically, there are differences between men and women, despite what that one professor wanted to tell us. And there's differences between white men and black men. Granted, less than between men and women, but there are differences biologically. It's just a fact.
Mm-hmm.
I think some of the I could be wrong about this, but like, you even get some distances or differences in like down to like the length of like the femur is longer on a black individual than a white individual. I don't know why. It's just biological. It's a thing that probably why they're typically better runners. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and they also go to like genetic diseases too. You know, genetic diseases. Black people a lot of time are more disposed to genetic diseases. And I've heard it actually root into the fact that their DNA is more linked to like ancient DNA. It's like not simple. I don't want to say like it's not complicated, because it is, but like their DNA is so old. You know what I mean? Like it hasn't evolved as much as like some other ethnicities that had to obtain certain things. So that's why like genetic diseases attack black people, something with their DNA and age. It's interesting. But yeah, it's just like, because everything came from Africa. Everything there is more primal and more intense. So yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting. Obviously, this is cultural Marxism to put the least. I don't know. See, and the thing that's dangerous, like most people don't care about history, but what's dangerous about this ancient history is most people don't give a fuck. Like most people are like, yeah, of course Cleopatra's black. It's in Africa. But then they don't realize that the Greeks had a hold of Egypt for like hundreds, if not 1,000 years. You know, so, and this is why it's so important to know history, Western culture, blah, blah, blah. But I'm gone. Dave Ryan, 1773. Catch Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern on the weekly show, YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble. Most importantly, Dave and I will be there. As always, Dave, appreciate you for your time. See you later.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ryan. Ryan's record tomorrow.